for CQMR users for the Clinical Quality Metrics Registry and using it for reporting your electronic clinical quality measures for the Medicaid EHR Incentive Program, CPC Plus, and MIPS. So our agenda today, we will walk through a few housekeeping items before we move to a training and demo, and then we'll have time for Q&A and talk about a few other training resources. So our housekeeping items, first of all, we are recording this webinar, and we do plan to post this to our CQMR resources page with other training materials. So logistics-wise, to help us get a good recording and avoid having too much background noise, we ask that you enter your audio PIN when you log in so that we can mute and unmute your line. And that way we can do Q&A without having too much background noise, hopefully. You also are welcome to enter questions into the chat window or raise your hand if you want to ask questions, and we'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar. Our focus today is on the training on the CQMR functionality for reporting ECQMs, and I just want to note for the Medicaid EHR Incentive Program, also known as the Promoting Interoperability Program, the CQMR is the required place for reporting your ECQMs. You still do the rest of your reporting in MAPR. And then for the Comprehensive Primary Care Plus program, CPC Plus, or the Merit-Based Incentive Payment System, the CQMR is available to you if you want to use it to have your ECQM data sent to CMS to meet those reporting requirements. It's not required; it's an option, and it's intended to help simplify reporting processes for you. So we hope that people will feel free to take advantage of those options. A couple of quick things that I wanted to touch on before we move into the demo part. These are a couple of things that are new for our 2019 ECQM reporting. So first of all, Internet Explorer is no longer a supported browser option. So the available browsers that you can use to access the CQMR are Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Safari. We did a user survey before we made that change, and it did not sound like anyone was really dependent on using Internet Explorer because that particular browser is less supported by Microsoft. We wanted to move away from using that one. The other thing I wanted to highlight is the Medicaid EHR Incentive Program. Every year the measure set changes for the ECQMs, and so to support those changes, we do have a new Excel template that will be available for 2019 attestations. That will be posted on the EHR Incentive Program's Program Year 2019 webpage, so you can download it there. A couple of things that I do want to highlight with that. Remember, if you're using the attestation template, to please do a separate file for each eligible professional. So do not just create different tabs for EPs in the same file. Do a separate file for each EP. And you can also find more information about that in our updated step-by-step guide that's on our resources page. We had heard during one of our user satisfaction surveys a request to have more of a step-by-step guide. So in response, we do have that on our resources page now. The other thing that I wanted to highlight for you is that we will be piloting some work on aggregation of QRDA3 files. So for the Medicaid EHR Incentive Program, we know last year we ran into the situation with a number of folks that you have an eligible professional who practices at more than one clinic location during the year. And so your EHR will generate multiple files for that particular EP. And the CMS reporting requirements really point to having one file per EP. So we've been working with our vendor, MyHen, to get functionality available for you to take those multiple QRDA3 files and generate a single file out of that so that you can still use your QRDA3 files for reporting. So that is all that I wanted to touch on as far as what's new this year. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Alan to do our training and demo.
That's where I needed to be. Thank you very much. So good morning. Sorry for the technical muting difficulties. My name is Alan Gregory. So I'll go over today the both the Medicaid EHR incentive program, are the web pages that you'll utilize. I'll go over a little bit about the Excel file. I'll demonstrate a couple of QRDA Cat3 files, as well as discuss a little bit about the QRDA Cat3 aggregation files. So this is a little different because I'm using a test environment, but generally on the One Health port screen, you'll have to do your login, and it's a multi-factor authentication. So whether you use the Google authentication or have it send a one-time email, that's what you'll get. And once you sign into the system, I'm going to go ahead and log in. So when you log in, you'll come to the initial the home screen, the home page, and on the home screen we'll have the news, any type of updates that we're doing. We may insert some text in here. Generally, the items you'll see on the screen are here for the year. We'll update this yearly, but if there's something where we're going to have a scheduled maintenance downtime or a new feature was added or something, we'd normally put it up here at the top for the time being. But this will give you some links for the One Health Port Manager account, where the training materials live. We also have FAQs on this site as well. But at a high level, this is your home screen. And if you ever click anything and click back to home, that's where you'll be, that's where it'll take you. So if I was on the FAQs and I just want to get back to, so going across, based on your security access, you may or may not see different items. For instance, if you don't have access to the quality reports and data entry to upload data, you'll see the quality programs tab, but when you click the down button, you won't see anything inside that. That is in our FAQ, but just for reference, whatever the One Health Port security access you get, we run that off of those. Everybody has access to reports and dashboards, but again, that's limited to what comes across on your TIN. So if I uploaded a file for a provider with the TIN of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and if I click over here under my profile page, this will tell me who I have affiliations to and who I'm allowed to see. And so this one's an OHA admin user, test user. But if I don't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 somewhere in here, I will not be able to see that data. And so that would be a good check if you're not seeing something. And you can always put a support ticket in with us, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So on different transport requests that we offer the web upload page, which is what I believe most people used last year, where they just click on the MEHRIP tab, and then they upload a QRDA Cat3 file or the Excel template. We do also offer the SFTP, API, and DSM. So if those are items that you're looking to do, you can certainly just click on one of those and do the initiate SFTP if that's what you wanted, or the API. Our DSM transport request is an automated system. It just, once you type in your direct secure message, sorry about that, you enter your direct secure message, hit the confirm button. In about 15 minutes, you'll get an email that says you've been onboarded for it and gives you the direct secure messaging addresses to submit the data to. Okay, so when going into upload the files, I'm going to bring up the new template. And as Kate explained earlier, the measures are updated from last year. So I think we deleted 5 and added 4 measures to this. But where I wanted to call out was a couple of the requirements. So the eligible professional name is a required field, the NPI is a required field, and the date's a required field. And the dates are also need to be in a certain format. So we sort of listed them out for you, the month, month, day, day, year, 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 dash, month, month, day, day, year, year, year. if those aren't in that proper order, then we will fail the file. But we do give you the reason why, and I'll show you that in a second. The clinic tax ID number is an optional field. So we don't require anything in that spot, but you do need to, if you want to be able to look at the dashboards and reports, the data from this, you'll need to enter a tax ID number in there. Some of the other things on the MPI that we've created error matching is it needs to be 10 numeric, so 10 digits. So it doesn't accept any alpha. If it's 9, it'll error out. If it's 11, it'll error out. But again, it'll warn you, it'll fail the file and give you that reasoning for that. So from here, I can go ahead. The other thing on here is we have this error column on the far right. So it'll look at the basics, numerator, denominator, exclusion. So for instance, I have 2 for my numerator, 2 for my denominator, but I have 5 for my denominator exclusions. So it's going to generate an error message on that. And again, so even if the red visual over here doesn't alert you when you upload the file, it'll fail at that as well. And it will provide you the row ID. So for instance, if it was row 39 that was bad, it'll tell you you have an error on row 39. So at least it'll give you some heads up on where to go look. I'm going to take a brief pause on that prior to uploading some files and demonstrating that for you. Are there any questions so far on either this Excel template or on the web page and navigations? And I will show you the reports in a minute.
I am not seeing any questions in the question box, or
okay.
Not seeing any raised hands.
Great. So I will go on. So so again, based on your usage and your roles, I'm going to go ahead and click on the quality programs, and you'll see this, the MEHRIP and also the CCO. So for this program, we want to make sure we check the MEHRIP and not the CCO. And then once you click into there, there's also a tab that'll say MEHRIP here. And if I were to click into the CCO one, it'll say CCO. So they both will accept the CAT3 file, but they will not be applied to the right program. And on the flat file, so if you tried to upload one file versus the other on the Excels, they will fail. So I'm going to go ahead in here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a flat file, which is the Excel template. And you can also choose multiple files. So, but they have to be the same file. So I'm going to go ahead and take a bad file with a date. I can multi-select missing an MPI, and I'll take a good file here. So once I choose those 3 files and click OK, it throws them into this bottom spot here, and I can choose to either delete one of these or I can add more files. Once I'm comfortable with the files I'm going to upload, I'm going to go ahead and click the upload button. You'll get a message asking you, are you sure? You hit OK. And then it'll take you to the status page. And we changed a little bit from last year, where last year it refreshed every 30 seconds. We've changed that. So if we want to refresh it, we just click this upload status page. And you'll see here, it gives a date and time stamp, 1/17. So this file failed, and it says my measure year has to be in the right format. So that's my basic status message. I can click into the file by clicking on the name or the date or any of the other items in here, click it, and it actually will then give me a more detailed message. So if there's any type of error, it'll go, was the file uploaded? Did it pass validation? Then it sends an email out. So let me click back on my status page. This one here passed. So if I click on this, it says, yep, file uploaded fine. It passed all validations. It made it to our data lake, which is basically a data warehouse, and we sent the email out. So this is a good file. It's all in green. If I click back on my status, missing MPI. So again, you'll see failure provider MPI is a required field. Provider MPI is 10 digits. The other, so that was a common one. The other one would be numerator denominator. So again, MEHRIP demo file numerator denominator, it passed upload, but at the validation, it gives you the error row 9, numerator is greater than denominator. And then we send the email out, and I can show you what one of those look like. So the email you'll receive look very similar to this. Thank you for your recent submissions. We've received 4 files and only 1 passed successfully. So we'll give you, here's our good file, and then the following did not pass. And then we give you the generic version of, well, the summary over here is where that will be. So where this one says bad date, over here on the error summary, it'll say date. So this is our test system. We're working on different validations on it now, but those will go. And you can always go back to the status here. When I'm in the general upload status page, I can, depending on how many files you are, you can change the view of defaults to 10, but if you want to see 25 files on a page or 100 files, you can make those changes here. At the bottom, you can click page, so I'm going to go 10 at a time. The other thing is it has this search function. So if I were to type in cat for starting of a category 3 file to look for, it'll now show me anything on the screen. It'll filter everything that has cat in it. If I just wanted to say something like 2019, it'll look for, unfortunately, that's a bad one because that'll also bring in the date, but it searches the entire screen for any of the text that I've started to type in. So if I only wanted failures, I can get the failed. And this is just show me all the failed files. The naming convention of your files are good to have. Most people from last year, they were all named with the provider name or provider name / underscore MPI. So you can always filter that way if you use that. The other options are under the web upload, which I failed to mention, is we have this description. In the description, you can also, like if you're batching for different clinics, you can type in the name of the clinic and then batch those up, send them, do another batch for the clinic and name them that way. And that way, if you ever wanted to sort them and search for them in the upload status page, then over here, you can just type in the name of the clinic and then we'd get all of those files for that. The multiple file type. So as you saw, I uploaded 4 files for the Excel, and that's great. You can upload as many files as you want, but they all have to be the same type of file. So I couldn't have intermixed a QRDA category 3 file with my Excel files, and vice versa. I can upload many Cat 3 files, but I can't mix those with a Excel file. It will upload them, but they'll just fail out for you. I'll take another pause and ask if there's questions on that.
I am not seeing hands raised or questions in the chat. If people do have questions, please do keep them coming in the chat window or raise your hand.
I'm sorry, Kate, I might have had difficulty hearing what you last said. Was it?
Oh,
so
sorry
about
I said
that.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat window or
Okay.
and I'm not seeing any hands raised, but I just wanted to remind people that if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window or raise your hands so that we can get those questions answered.
Okay, great. So I'll upload a QRDA category 3 file, and I made some test data, and so we'll upload one of these, and I'll give you a demonstration on the reports and how that looks. So we will. I'm going to do this one on purpose because it's going to fail, and this is something we had in the past where a file failed validation, and then they would upload it again, the same file, and it'll fail as a duplicate file. And what happens, so if there's a failure or minor issue or something with the file, it needs to be regenerated out of the EHR on the Cat3s because the system doesn't look at the naming convention. It looks at the actual contents inside of the file. And so you'll know if you get the duplicate file detected, it's already been uploaded. So maybe if there's multiple quality people in a clinic or organization that are uploading data, and you got that duplicate file, it's because it's already been uploaded. So that should give you a small warning to, was it already uploaded or whatnot. But we've had that one come up last year a few times. So just for reference on why you get that. So it's not just the file name itself, it's the actual contents of the file. So I will go ahead and upload the same file. So I modified the contents of this file, so it'll pass. Okay, prompts me to edit. Go ahead and click OK. So we can watch it as it goes through. Normally it takes about 30 seconds to go through the entire system before it populates to the database. So I can click on that. So it's validated now. It's green and it has a generic warning message about this NPI because this is a fake NPI that's not found in the system. That's completely fine. You don't have to worry about this at all. And so now it's completed. And on that particular one, here's my original one that says duplicate file detected. And then a couple seconds later, I got this one here that says one file is uploaded and one file passed successfully. So that's good information. Generally, if somebody puts a support ticket in and they say their file's failed or it's not there, the first thing we'll ask for is this validation email because it'll give us a hint on what the message was. Did it fully pass all the way? What am I looking for if it's a failed file? I'll use the error message. The other thing we have with it is we had the transaction IDs on it, and so I can follow the system, this file through the system. So that's generally, keep your emails that you get for those in a folder somewhere. All right, then once that file has been uploaded, I can come over here to my reports. And again, based on your security, you'll see reports. Only OHA admins or people with the OHA TINs will see the annual report. But I'll go ahead and click on the organizational report. And so on the organizational report, we've done some tweaks over it from what you've seen last year. We've rearranged some of the information that was on the sides and now across the header. We do have the reporting ranges still where you can type in a range if you want. This is my test provider, and I can go ahead and change this to, I can add different filters for different providers. So now I'll have the practice 18, it'll give me the provider MPI, what type of file it was it a QRDA Cat3 file, was it a flat file, those type of things. If it's a QRDA Cat3 file, we house the information. So like for instance here, when I see my CMS2 and I bring my mouse over it, it'll give me a summary of the title, the practice, numerator, performance rate. When I click over on my numerator here, it'll give me my 50, my denominator. So it gives me a high level of what this is, of what I'm looking at. And then based upon those items, you can decide if it's good or not. So these are 0, 0. And you notice you'll see some things cut off over here. On the reporting side, there's a scroll bar at the bottom, so you can scroll over to see the different header information. So denominator exclusions, percentages of exclusions. And so we put the scroll bar down here, which if you want to go all the way across, you can do that. The other thing is on the reports is for instance, the subscribe downloads, and then there's this view button over here. There's also a refresh button. If you upload something and you go right into it, it's best to always hit the refresh button, so it just gets the rest of the data. There is an auto refresh in the background, but normally it's the timing isn't like 2 minutes. So if you upload a file and click over to reports, the data is there, but you'll need to hit the refresh button. There's ways to different download methods. So if we click the download button, there's an image, a data, crosstab, or a PDF. So crosstab is generally the best. It takes this screen here and all the data on this screen, and it puts it into an Excel CSV type file so that you can sort it. If you want to do any cross-tabbing on your own, you can do that. PDF is just what it is. It's this screen. Everything you have on the screen is in a PDF format, and the image is just like a screenshot. So I'll go ahead and do the crosstab, and it says it's generating. Go ahead and click on that. And down here it's downloaded. I can open this up, and there it goes ahead and it gives it to me in the Excel format. And it is filtered on just the 2 providers I clicked. So whatever you have filtered on that is what you'll see. So if you make any changes to, sorry about that. So if you make any changes to the providers, or if you only wanted CMS measure 22, then whatever you export, it'll only be what you see on the screen. The other thing I have on here is like, I have this, I made one up for myself where it's my Allen demo. So I customize it to my view. And once I open that up, make it my default, that's what I'll see every time. So even though I've made changes here where I've had the CMS 22, if I click off of this and go back into that, it goes back to my view, my original view. So I can also go back to the original view, which is all data for all submissions. And then I'd be able to download that, subscribe to it. If I wanted to go back to my normal view, I can just click back to that view. So so that would be helpful if you were looking at multiple clinics. You could actually choose the providers within that clinic, and you could have multiple of those views. So you could say Clinic A, Clinic B, Clinic C, and have them pre-filtered for yourself. The other thing is there's a subscribe. So I can subscribe to a report. In our testing environments, we only have a couple test schedules, but in production, we have some more. And then if there's something special you needed, you can request a support ticket for that. And then we can analyze that and see to add a different schedule for you. And then those are delivered at the schedule base. And it's a It's not in Excel, it's like a snapshot of it. So it's like PDF version, I believe. So the reports, and then we have the dashboards. So the same thing on the dashboards. So OHA doesn't have access to the dashboards because this will incorporate all the data submitted, whether it's CPC Plus or the MIPS program. But you can do some other items with this where you can filter down based on your population. So like here I have 84% showing here, but if I want to filter that down to only females, then they change the percentages, and you also notice they change colors. That's because based on, we have some, forgot what we call those, target configurator, which I'll show you in a second. So based on the targets that are, they're predefined, but you can modify them. You can change these colors for yourself. The gray ones on this report are because there's no, it was submitted, but there's no numerator or denominator, so it's just 0 over 0. And so that's why that one is gray. And you'll see over here on the legend, based on the colors that are in the screen, it'll show you those within limits, within the 5% missed targeted. You can choose by the domain. So if you just wanted to do patient safety, then it'll give us whatever measures are in the database for those is what it then shows. So going back over to the configurator, and you can use the scroll bars across the top, or you can use the drop down and just go right to something. We have default 5%, and again, you can edit these, but this is a default. If you want to take something like this and go to 0.7, it now changes it, and it will change it for all of the dashboards. So I can go back to this, and now this is green because I'm sorry, 68, 76, target 70%. So this one, I have the other configuration, but you can see the colors will change on it based on that. So that particular target, and then if you want to change it back to 0.85, actually, change that to 80. So now we're outside. So they'll change colors based on those. And you notice down here, I no longer have the gray box because nothing on my screen requires the gray. Is there any questions on the reports in the little chat box?
I am not seeing any.
Okay. And so again, I made modifications on this, but I just want to go back to my original. And so now everything's back the way it was when I started. And again, so by doing that custom save for what my view is how that goes. And then, so now I want to log in as a different user, just to give you a reference of the different things we talked about as far as what you can see and what you can't see based on your One Health port security coming in. So this is a new user. Notice right off the bat, I don't see anything with the CCO tab at all because this user has no affiliations to any CCOs. They see the MEHRIP quality programs. They still see the reports, but they don't see the MEHRIP annual report. They can still see the dashboards. Under the support tab, they lose the ability to onboard for any of the submission methods because this user doesn't have permission to upload on those files. So that will need to get done. And under this user here, excuse me, you can see they only have access to ABC Medical Clinic with a TIN of 8888 and 4444 and there too. So when I go to my reports, because they don't have access to data, I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh just in case. There's no data on display because there's no data I have uploaded currently for this user. If I click on the dashboards, same thing. So there's no data submitted. So if I were to submit a file for this user, then they would be able to see the data for that end user. Go log back out. So now I'm going to use my other user who's onboarded for the CPC Plus and MIPS program. So when I log in as the user for that, once they go through the onboarding process, we grant access to that dropdown. So now I can see the CPC Plus and MIPS folders, or in the dropdown for the quality programs. And so they will show up, the data will still show up in the dashboards, but what happens in the background is, so if you onboard for this, then we take your data and we API it to the CMS for you. And that's a semi-automated process, but there's some steps in between to do the onboarding and association with that. So now I'm going to drop down to the MIPS. I now see in my tab here, it says MIPS. There's a little bit of information about it here. This changes from each page. I'm still going to do a QRDA category 3, but you'll notice you don't see the flat file. And that's because you can't submit the flat file for the MIPS program. So I can just put a little thing in here. MIPS. So this one internally, the file clinic name and provider name is MIPS all throughout. So once this goes through the system, we should be able to see it up on the reports. So it's validating. While that's validating, I can go ahead and do the CPC Plus one as well. Notice I'm on the CPC Plus tab. So this one, it's going through the system, it's validated, it's passed, it's in progress. So the MIPS and CPC Plus won't go through right now because it looks like they're getting stuck right here. And this is a special folder that goes to those programs. So I won't be able to finish the demonstration to show you that those are on the reports, on the dashboards. So with that, going back through my notes, Kate, is there anything else you wanted me to hit or touch on?
I don't think so. I think I just want to make sure, do folks have any questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Not seeing anything in the questions or chat. Ryan, can we just unmute? So Folks, we're going to unmute everyone. So that everyone can ask questions. If you do not want to ask a question, please mute yourself so we don't get overwhelmed with background noise. But here we go. Are folks unmuted? Okay, so everyone should be unmuted now. If you are still muted, it's like a self-muting thing. So if you want to ask a question, please unmute yourself and let us know what your question is. Okay. If there are no questions, then I think that will conclude the demo part of the demo and walkthrough part of, wait, I think I do see a question. And the question is, what is the process to get a new user login and permissions for CPC Plus and or MIPS? So as far as the user accounts, that would be it's the same onboarding process as you do for access for CCO incentive measure reporting or for Medicaid EHR incentive program reporting. So you do the legal agreements, you get your organization registered with one health board and assign users accounts. And then Alan, do you want to go back to the support tab and show the CPC Plus MIPS onboarding?
Sure. So essentially, we created any of the onboarding requests, whether it's for SFTP API or CPC Plus MIPS. The process on that is very simple. It gives you a quick overview to make sure that this is what you want to do. You say do the initiation. In the background, it automatically creates a help desk ticket for our onboarding team, because with these two programs, we need to sort of like onboard with each other. So if you choose us to process your data and upload it to CMS for you, we need to have a couple things in place for that. And part of that's on the CMS website, where we authorize us as a data intermediary, essentially what that is. And then we can go in there and complete those out for you. Phone number is not required, but it is helpful. And then you can do a quick description in here of anything you want. And then once you click the confirm box, it goes ahead and creates a ticket for this. And then here's your ticket. And then, so you can email back and forth within this ticket from the solution, or, but onboarding will reach out to you generally via email, or if you have a phone number and said, please call me, then they'll reach out to you and take care of everything that way. It takes about 10 days to probably 2 weeks, depending on schedules, but it's pretty painless from what I've done. I've only done a few of those last year, and they were pretty painless to do. So, but that would be how to do that.
If you go to the CQMR resources page, which is where we keep all our training materials, there is a step-by-step guide for CPC Plus and MIPS reporting through the CQMR that's on there, that has walk through what Alan was just describing, talks about the, if you scroll down, there it is. So that's another resource that's available.
Yes,
does that answer your question? Marshall, does that answer your questions? Do you have any follow-up questions? And are there any other questions from folks on the webinar? Okay. Well, then I think we're just about to wrap up. We have, could we go back to the slide deck, please? And just that last, next to the last slide, which I think we have already sort of touched on, but I just wanted to flag for folks that the resources page has the written materials. That's the page that we were just showing. It has the written materials, including step-by-step guides. We have recorded this webinar and we will be posting that there. We also have, you're also welcome to send us questions. If you have program type questions, please send those to the oregon.cqmr@dhsoha.state.or.us. The Medicaid EHR Incentive Program team also will be doing a program year 2019 webinar, including a mapper walkthrough on January 7th. And always welcome your questions. I also wanted to mention with the training materials that we've also added. I know last year sometimes people were, would get a little bit confused between when do I contact One Healthport with questions, when do I contact the MyHIN team, and so we've got an FAQ up now as well on who to contact with different flavors of questions. And if you have more questions, please send them our way. If you have suggestions for additional training materials that you'd like to see, please let us know. If there are no further questions at this time, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you everyone for attending and have a great day.